Hello, math students. Welcome back to Module 1, Ratios and Unit Rates. This is Lesson 13, and it is called Finding a Rate by Dividing Two Quantities. Finding a rate by dividing two quantities. The goal for today we are going to learn how to divide quantities, focusing on the numerical values. The question that I want you to be thinking about is what part of the quantity has to be included in dividing rates. So we've been talking about rates. We've been talking about how you can change a ratio into a rate, and then we talked about taking a rate and changing it back into a ratio. And now today we are going to learn how to divide quantities, focusing on the numerical values so that it could be changing a rate. So finding a rate by dividing two quantities. Things to know. Check this out. At Fun Burger, the burger master can make hamburgers at a rate of 4 burgers per minute. In order to address the heavy volume of customers, he needs to continue at this rate for 30 minutes. If he continues to make hamburgers at this pace, how many hamburgers will the burger master make in 30 minutes? Okay, so they gave us the rate. The rate that they gave us, it says this rate, and so the rate that they're talking about is a rate of 4 burgers per minute. Okay, so we are going to set up this little system of writing down information that we know so we can figure it out. So the rate that they gave us, it tells us right here, a rate. So the rate, we just write it down, 4 burgers per 1 minute. So that's our rate. And then hopefully all of you are already recognizing that that's also the unit rate because it's per 1. So what we get to do very happily on this one, because we didn't have to find per 1 because bum-ba-da-bum, lo and behold, it already is per 1. So how did you get from 1 to 1? You multiplied by 1. What you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So 1 times 1 is 1, 4 times 1 is 4. Our unit rate is still 4 burgers per 1 minute. And remember, a rate has to have the units of measure listed with it. So that's 4 burgers per 1 minute. Okay, and that's the unit rate as well. Yay. Okay, the next thing that we want to do is we want to figure out a model that could help us find the answer, because it says if he continues to make hamburgers at this pace, how many hamburgers will the burger master make in 30 minutes? Well, the model that we want to use is setting it up, starting with the unit rate and changing it so that you have the amount of time or the amount of burgers that they ask about. And so if you're looking at this one, they're not asking you how many burgers, they're not telling you how many burgers, they're telling you how many minutes. So the way that you set this up is you have to say to yourself, okay, 4 burgers in 1 minute is equal to how many burgers in 30 minutes? Because that's what we want to know, because they said they're going to keep that rate going and they're going to work for 30 minutes. So the question is, how many hamburgers can be made in 30 minutes? Well, that's pretty simple. So again, you ask yourself the question, how did I get from 1 to 30? And the units are the same, so that's fine. We're not running into anything weird with that. But I know that 1 times 30 equals 30. What I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So now I'm going to take 4 times 30. And I know that 4 times 0 is 0. 4 times 3 is 12. So keep your units the same. In 30 minutes, the burger master can make 120 burgers. So our answer to this problem is 120 burgers in 30 minutes. Okay, I don't know if you can see that because I zoomed in. Kind of can see it. Okay, so let's zoom back out and make sure you've got it. Okay, so taking a look at what we did. Sorry, my little wheel's a little bit sticky. Okay, so taking a look at what we did, our model is you start with your unit rate. You put how far or what equals, so we're doing equivalent ratios, and we're trying to get to 30 minutes. So 1 times 30 equals 30. 4 times 30 equals 120. So we know that in 30 minutes he can make 120 burgers as long as he stays at the same pace. All right, so that was pretty easy, right? Okay, so let's try another one then. Okay, the next one that we're going to try is Chandra is an editor at the Arizona Republic. Her job is to read each article before it is printed in the newspaper. If Chandra can read 10 words per second, how many words can she read in 60 seconds? Okay, so I think I see a rate, and the rate I'm seeing is that Chandra can read 10 words per second. That looks like a rate to me. So again, we have 10 words per 1 second. Okay, so that looks pretty good. And we'll notice we're trying to find our unit rate. It's already per 1, so we have the unit rate is per 1 second. So we know 1 to 1 is times 1, 10 times 1 is 10. So now we know that that was our unit rate, right? Because we checked it. Okay, so how do you get from 1 to 1? That's right, multiply by 1. What you do to one side, you have to do the other. 10 times 1 is 10. So we know that our unit rate is 10 words per 1 second. So again, when you're modeling, you're starting with 10 words per 1 second because that's the unit rate. So you always start with the unit rate. And this time it says, how many words can she read in 60 seconds? So we need to make an equivalent ratio, but this time we're trying to get 60 seconds. Notice that our units have to match. So the seconds are in the denominator, the seconds have to be in the denominator when we're trying to change. The words are in the numerator, the words have to be in the numerator when we are changing. So 10 words per 1 second is equivalent to how many words in 60 seconds? Well, multiplicative, you guys are getting really good at this. The question that you have to ask yourself is, how did I get from 1 to 60? I multiplied by 60. What you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So I know 1 times 60 is 60. I know 10 times 60 is actually, let's do the math because some of you are not visual, or some of you are visual people. So 0, 0, placeholder, 0, 6, and we end up with 600. So this person, Chandra, can read 600 words in 60 seconds. Do any of you know what that means? Well, how long is 60 seconds? 60 seconds is actually 1 minute. So we could also say an equivalent ratio would be in 1 minute, oops, I could spell it right, that would be nice, minute. In 1 minute, Chandra can read 600 words. Good grief, she's a fast reader. That's excellent. Okay, so that gives you an idea of what it means. So now let's go back to the question. How many words can she read in 60 seconds? Chandra can read 600 words in 60 seconds, which is the same thing as 1 minute. Okay, awesome. So this isn't so bad, is it? So it says today we are going to learn how to divide quantities focusing on the numerical values, which is what we did. All right, finding the rate by dividing two quantities. We're dividing two quantities to come up with the rate. And now let's look at the next one. One more. Okay, one more. It says Matt drives a delivery truck for a moving company. He can drive 75 miles per hour. If he must drive 525 miles, how long will it take him to travel? Okay, so again, what we've been working on this whole time is finding the rate first. So he can drive 75 miles per 1 hour. So we just found our rate. So 75 miles per 1 hour. And I believe we just found the unit rate as well because it's per 1. Unit rate means per 1. How do we get from 1 to 1 times 1? 1 times 75 is 75. So we know the unit rate is also 75 miles per 1 hour. So again, in our model, we start with our unit rate. 75 miles per 1 hour. Now, this one's a little bit different because we want equivalent ratio to 525 miles takes how many hours, okay? So that one might be a little bit trickier, but I'm very, very confident that you can handle it because you're going to remember what we talked about in yesterday's lesson, which was how do I get from 75 to 525? So basically, you have to think 75 times what number equals 525. So in thinking that, all we have to do is do the opposite to find it because we know 75 times something gives us 525. So in order to find the something, we can divide. So you're going to take 525 and you're going to divide it by 75. Okay? So again, I want you to be thinking about here's a 7, here's a 52. So what's the closest that we can get to? We could try 7 and see what happens. So 75 times 7 gives me 35, regroup, 49, 50, 51, 52, and kiddos, lo and behold, what did you find? You found the answer. So 7 times 75 gives us 525, and we have just found the answer. So that would be 75. 75 times 7 gives us that. So what you do to one side, we multiply this by 7. We have to multiply this by 7. So 1 times 7 is 7 hours. Okay? So we're saying that to travel 525 miles, you must drive for 7 hours. Okay, and you found the answer. So do you see why it's so important to find the unit rate? Because the unit rate is what gives us a starting point for everything that we're trying to find. All right, so let's go back to our goal. Today we are going to learn how to divide quantities, focusing on their numerical values, which is what we did. We divided words per second. We divided miles per hour. We divided burgers per minute, okay? But we focused on the number part. What part of the quantity has to be included in dividing rates? Definitely the part that has to be included is the number part. Okay, so remember a quantity is numbers with units of measure. So what part of the quantity has to be included to divide them? The numbers have to be included because if they're not there, we won't know how to divide them. All right, so that was it today for our lesson, finding the rate by dividing two quantities, and I will see you all later. Bye!